iDubbbz released a content cop in 2025. I'll admit, when I watched the video and heard what we do here is go back, I just got hit in the face with so much whiplash. It brought me back to my high school days when I would be so fucking hyped a new content cop released. So I guess on that front, thank you iDubbbz for making an otherwise not very nostalgic person feel nostalgic for a brief moment. Anyway, what I want to talk about first is something I probably should have brought up when I made that video talking about iDubbbz feeling remorseful regarding his old content a few years ago. And it's that I didn't entirely agree with how he viewed his old content cop videos. Now, at the end of the day, of course, it's his channel. He is free to feel however he pleases about his own content. But he felt those videos fostered and helped spread toxicity on the platform, and yeah, to an extent they did. But I mean, you can't tell me that most of the targets weren't deserving of being taken down a peg. Leafy, Rice Gum, Keemstar. The more problematic elements of the old content cop videos aside, you know, the slurs or saying fucked shit like bullying is okay, or going to a YouTuber's convention just to say the N-word in front of them, the actual crux of the content cop videos I never had an issue with. They by and large went after shitty people whose behavior usually justified scrutiny in response. And H3H3 is no exception. When this content cop dropped, I immediately thought this is not going to go over well. And whew, I was right, a 50-50 dislike ratio, a very polarizing comment section, though iDubbbz's comment sections have never been known as a place where intelligent people gather anyway. But a common talking point I have seen in response to this content cop, and is mainly what I want to talk about in this video, is how this is supposedly a backstab towards Ethan. You two were good friends. You've done several collab videos together. You've been on his podcast. Ethan even defended you when the entire internet was going after you and your wife. One, this is just parasocial as fuck. You don't know anything about their friendship beyond the videos they made together. Two, Ethan is the one who involved iDubbbz into his feud with lefty content creators to begin with. Now, I don't really know much about Ethan Klein's feud with these content creators. I hardly know who the fuck Denims and Frogan are. Hassan I watch on occasion, though none of the segments of his I have seen have had anything to do with Ethan Klein. But apparently the drama between Ethan Klein and these content creators have escalated to the point where, at the very least, these content creators' fan bases supposedly have called CPS on Ethan, claiming that supposedly he is raising his kids in an unsafe environment, which I have no idea is true, but assuming that isn't true and he really did have CPS called on him, then yes, that is disgusting, and I have no idea if this was actually goaded on by the content creators that Ethan has been beefing with, so I can't really speak about them specifically, but even still, I perfectly understand iDubbbz's frustration. He has reservations surrounding Ethan Klein's rhetoric regarding the genocide in Gaza for the last year and a half or so, and I have seen so many H3H3 fans come out of the woodwork and say, but Ethan Klein isn't a Zionist because he's not explicitly cheering on the genocide. It doesn't always have to be as clear-cut as you saying you want Palestinian blood to be spilt onto the street. Ethan Klein's rhetoric is essentially, I think Israel has taken things too far, but always with the caveat of Hamas is a terrorist organization Israel is defending itself from. It's pretty much weaponizing empathetic language and stances to get the viewer to think, well, I don't exactly agree with what Israel is doing in Gaza and to innocent Gazan civilians, but at the end of the day, Hamas did start this, and what Israel is doing is merely a response to what Hamas did on October 7th. It's a more covert, more empathy-coded type of Zionism. But it ignores all nuance. Yes, I think what happened on October 7th was horrible. 1,500 people in Israel did not need to die on that day. You can acknowledge that while also acknowledging that Hamas is an unfortunate byproduct of decades-long settler colonialism. The Palestinian people have lost more and more of their land. They have seen family and friends killed for that land. Gaza is an open-air prison. When you pin an entire group of people into a corner for so long, no shit, some of them are going to turn to extremist measures. Now, again, I may not condone the extremist measures they may take, but I still understand why it happens, much like how you can understand what happened on October 7th was terrible, but can also understand that Israel's response to what happened on that day is totally disproportionate and is categorically a genocide. But anyway, seeing that iDubbbz' wife's ethnicity is partially Lebanese, Lebanon has also been invaded by the IDF, and also seeing that he likely just has basic fucking empathy and has observed Israel's ongoing genocide of Palestinians and is disgusted by it. So with all of this in mind, I think no duh he's going to feel hesitant to dash to Ethan's defense. And don't you think that's a very shallow and transactional way to view a friendship? I'm getting scrutinized for a subject matter I have ignorant takes on, and a subject matter that you have some personal stake in. Part of your wife's ethnicity hails from a country that is currently being invaded by Israel, and in general you may be disgusted by Israel's actions in Lebanon and the West Bank. But come to my defense, I'm your friend. I've stuck up for you before, so now it's time for you to stick up for me. Behavior like that gives me the suspicion that you enter a friendship with the expectation that you'll get some personal gain out of it, and you didn't befriend that person because, I don't know, you legitimately enjoyed their company. Of course, friends stick up for friends, but if I had a friend whose behavior and rhetoric as of late I vehemently disagree with, and then they catch scrutiny for said behavior and rhetoric, and they expect me to come running to their defense just on the basis of me being their friend, no, I would not come to that friend's defense because I too would have reservations regarding what that friend has been saying and doing lately. So that's why I think this whole iDubbbz backstabbed H3H3, iDubbbz is a horrible friend to Ethan for making this video talking point is just so stupid. Ethan is the one who initially invoked iDubbbz' name on his podcast and suggested that he's a bad friend for not shielding him from online scrutiny. I understand certain people may have escalated this from merely criticizing you for some awful takes you had to calling Child Protective Services on you, and yes, that is fucked up if that did indeed happen. But the subject matter at hand that kickstarted all of this is Israel committing clear-cut genocide. And iDubbbz had serious hangups regarding your treatment of this subject matter, and so he didn't feel like LARPing as your PR manager. Anyway, it was nice to witness new Content Cop drop in 2025. What has it been, 8 or 9 years since the last one? We'll see if this was a one-off thing, or he actually does plan on reviving this series. But either way, what's also been entertaining is seeing all of the people whose mental maturity flatlined in 2016 when they were still in high school and think everyone else is the same way, continue to melt down that iDubbbz isn't the same person he was 10 years ago, like any other normal fucking person. That's all I have to say. Bye-bye.